Have you ever felt a moment so subtle, so quiet, that it almost slipped by unnoticed, yet deep down, you knew heaven itself was trying to reach you? Imagine this. You've just received the Eucharist. You return to your pew, and then it happens. The consecrated host doesn't dissolve right away. It lingers, stays pressed to the roof of your mouth. At first, you think it's nothing, just chance. But what if it's not? What if it's Jesus, interrupting your routine, gently asking you to stop, to listen, to be still? Today, we'll uncover what Father Michel Rodrigue, a mystic and theologian of remarkable discernment, has revealed about this mysterious moment. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll hear may forever change the way you experience communion. And before we begin, I'd love for you to leave a simple prayer in the comments. Jesus, don't let me miss your voice. Let this video become not just words, but a stream of prayer rising together. Now, who is Father Michel Rodrigue? He is no ordinary priest. His life has been marked by deep prayer, spiritual battle, and an unusual intimacy with the voice of God. Some of his prophetic insights have sparked debate, yes, but those who truly listen hear his humility, his reverence for the Eucharist, and his passion for guiding souls closer to Christ. Through his ministry, countless people have learned to notice the signs most of us ignore, the little signals heaven places along our path, signals that saints have trained their hearts to recognize. And among these signs is this strange, holy pause, that instant when the host lingers in your mouth, when time seems to slow, when silence feels heavy with meaning. Father Michel insists, this is not just a physical accident. It is not random. It may be heaven whispering your name through the mystery of the Eucharist. What you are about to hear is not theory, it is wisdom born of prayer. So, what does it mean when the consecrated host clings to the roof of your mouth? According to Father Michel, it can be far more than a bodily reaction. It might be God Himself inviting you into something sacred. Truth number 1. It's a divine pause. Sometimes God does not thunder, He whispers, and sometimes He doesn't even speak, He simply stays. When the host remains, it may feel inconvenient, but Father Michel urges us to see it differently. He calls it a sacred interruption, a divine pause. Psalm 46:10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." We live in a restless world. Even at Mass, our minds wander to the next hymn, to what comes after, to errands waiting at home. But in that moment, Christ is saying, "Stop, stay with me." He is inviting us not just to pause with our bodies, but with our hearts, like Mary, at His feet, listening, while Martha hurried about. Luke 10:42 tells us, "Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." Father Michel explains, these moments are not meaningless, they are personal, precise. If we treat them as sacred, they may become the most intimate seconds of our entire week. Don't rush. Don't dismiss it as dryness or coincidence. That pause may be the very instant Christ is closest, waiting for you to notice. Truth number 2. You become a living tabernacle. When the consecrated host remains intact in your mouth, you are not merely remembering Christ, you are carrying Him. You are a living tabernacle. At that moment, the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ dwell fully within you. This is not symbol, this is Catholic doctrine. John 6:56 declares, "Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in them." The Catechism CCC 1374 confirms, in the Blessed Sacrament, Christ is truly, really, and substantially contained. Think about that. When the host lingers, you are literally housing the Lord of heaven and earth. Saint Fina once wrote that after communion, she felt like a living monstrance, carrying Christ silently into the world. That's not just her gift, it can be yours too, if you remain attentive. But here's the danger. Satan knows the power of this moment, and so he attacks with impatience, distraction, or apathy. He tries to make you treat the host like bread, like an inconvenience to swallow quickly. But Father Michel reminds us, don't rush, don't act casually. Because in those lingering seconds, grace is being poured into your soul in real time. Truth number 3, It reveals your interior disposition. When the Eucharist clings to the roof of your mouth, what happens inside of you in those first seconds matters deeply. Do you sigh in frustration, wishing it would dissolve faster? Or do you feel moved to stillness, to wonder, to awe? That instinct, silent but powerful, reveals more about your soul than you might imagine. Father Michel Rodrigue teaches that this moment is not accidental. It is a mirror, showing you your heart's posture before God. Scripture says in 1 Samuel 16-7, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." If your first reaction is impatience, pushing aside the host as if it were an obstacle, perhaps God is allowing you to glimpse your own restlessness. But if your heart instinctively bows in reverence, then already in that instant you are worshiping Him, not just with your lips, but with your very soul. Don't be afraid if what rises up feels like weakness. That too is grace. Christ is exposing the truth of your spirit, so you can bring even your hidden impatience, your secret indifference, to His mercy. What you feel in those seconds is not random. It is your soul's unguarded voice before the living God. Truth number 4. The enemy fights hardest in that moment. The minutes after Holy Communion are the most sacred window of your entire week. Christ is physically within you, body, blood, soul, and divinity. Heaven leans close, angels bow in adoration. Mary looks upon you with tender love. No wonder the enemy trembles. He knows that if you unite your soul to Christ in those first moments, torrents of grace will pour out not only into your life, but into the church, even into the whole world. So, what does he do? He distracts. He agitates. Suddenly your mind leaps to chores, to deadlines, to what you'll eat for lunch. Or he stirs up restlessness, making you focus only on how long the host takes to dissolve. Do you see it? This is no coincidence. It is warfare. St. Peter warns us, "Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." 1 Peter 5-8. Father Michel reminds us, even this tiny moment can become a battleground. Will you let impatience steal your attention, or will you choose worship? Will you let wandering thoughts carry you away, or will you remain with Him? Do not underestimate the weight of this encounter. Every second of reverent silence can shatter the schemes of darkness and flood your soul with light. Truth number 5. God may be asking for something deeper. What if the host lingers not only to pause you, but to call you? What if, in that quiet stillness, Christ is gently knocking on a locked door of your heart? Revelation 3:20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in." Sometimes the pause is more than silence. It is an invitation. Perhaps He is asking you to forgive someone you've held in bitterness. Perhaps He is nudging you to let go of a sin you still cling to in secret. Perhaps He is whispering, "Trust me with your whole life. Surrender everything." This is not superstition. This is encounter. And every encounter with the Eucharist carries a demand of love. The question is simple yet profound. Will you let Him go deeper? It is the hardest truth because it requires change, surrender, even death to self. But it is also the most beautiful, because if you say yes, grace will reshape your life forever. Father Michel teaches that those hidden seconds, when the host remains, can become the very turning point of your spiritual journey. At St. Joseph Parish in Quebec, a 72-year-old woman named Margaret once shared her story with Father Michel Rodrigue. For decades, she came faithfully to Mass, and almost every Sunday, the host would cling to the roof of her mouth. At first, she was embarrassed. She thought, "Something must be wrong with me. Maybe I'm not worthy. People will notice." And so, week after week, she would hurry, pressing the host with her tongue, trying to make it dissolve as quickly as possible. But one Sunday, after hearing Father Michel preach about this very mystery, she decided to stop resisting. She returned to her pew, closed her eyes, and simply allowed Jesus to remain. And in that surrender, everything changed. Her body grew still, tears slipped down her wrinkled cheeks. For the first time in years, she felt peace that no words could hold. A warmth spread across her chest as she realized Christ was not inconveniencing her. He was consoling her, healing her, loving her. Later she told her parish group, voice trembling, "For years, I rushed past the gift. I thought it was nothing. But that day, I knew it was Jesus asking me to stay. And I never want to rush him away again." Her testimony reminds us, what feels small or awkward may in fact be heaven's most tender embrace. If there is a saint who helps us treasure every second after communion, it is Padre Pio. This humble Capuchin friar, marked with the wounds of Christ, lived the Eucharist with a depth that astonished all who saw him. Witnesses recalled how, after receiving communion, he would remain motionless, sometimes for half an hour, his eyes closed, lips sealed, tears running down his face. It was as though the world had vanished, and only Jesus remained. He once said, "If we only understood what happens in those minutes after Holy Communion, our hearts would burn with love." For him, the host clinging to his lips was never a distraction. It was an embrace. It was heaven pressing close. Padre Pio's witness teaches us that holiness is not found in rushing back to routine, but in lingering with Christ in silence, in awe, in love. So when the host clings to you, don't see inconvenience. See what the saints saw, the living God refusing to leave you too quickly. Even if it lasts only a few seconds, remember who it island, not a symbol, not a ritual, but Jesus himself, body, blood, soul, and divinity resting within you. That's why every fragment is treated with reverence. That's why the chalice and linens are carefully purified after Mass. Every crumb, every moment matters. As Father Michel warns, if we rush, if we treat this lightly, we risk losing the grace being offered. Reverence is not an option. It is the only fitting response to love. So let your heart bow low. Let your silence speak louder than words, because once your eyes are opened, you cannot go back. The moment the host clings to you will never again be a random accident. It will be heaven brushing against your soul. From that day on, communion is no longer routine. It is the holiest encounter on earth, the moment eternity bends low enough for you to touch. And Father Michel insists, when Christ chooses to linger with you, it is always personal. To ignore it is to ignore the lover of your soul. To welcome it is to let his love reshape your life from the inside out. Now you see, when the Eucharistic host clings to the roof of your mouth, it is not nature's mistake. It is a mystery of grace, a divine pause, a sacred test, a personal call to deeper love. Once you recognize this, you will never approach Holy Communion the same way again. So the next time it happens, don't rush, don't fight it. Let Christ remain. Whisper in your heart, "Jesus, stay with me. I am yours." Friend, I invite you now share in the comments your own prayer or story. Has the Lord ever touched you in this hidden way? Your words may awaken faith in someone who has forgotten the beauty of the Eucharist. And if this message stirred your heart, don't keep it only for yourself. Share it with someone still searching. Subscribe if you feel called. Because the Church does not grow through numbers or algorithms, it grows through witness. And maybe, just maybe, your witness will be the spark that sets another soul on fire.